Hey, everybody, welcome back to the midweek mental health break. This is Pastor Tim, and I'm here once again this week with Dr. Kellye Carver. And Kellye, we're so glad for you to be here with us today. Thank you.
Glad to be back.
So last week we were talking about some maybe heavy topics, the idea that, couples in quarantine, and here's all of the challenges we face. Today, we're really going to talk about the positives, the fun, even end with like some special date ideas. And, to launch into that, you were telling me before we began, there's an important thing to keep in mind that right now we're probably thinking, oh, this is going to last forever, but there's going to be an end to this. And so there's some things we could maybe try to cherish as we start to move forward, right?
Absolutely. In the moment, it's really hard sometimes to see the good, and it's really hard sometimes to see the silver linings. And you're right. We talked about kind of some heavy stuff last week about, setting some hard boundaries and just some different things to remember, navigating stress, how this can throw you for a loop. But I really want to emphasize, and I know you do too, that there can be a lot of really cool blessings coming out of this season. Your marriage will probably never have another season like this. So there's some really neat opportunities that I think you and I can hit on today. I think our goal should be kind of like we started talking about last week. How can we look back on this time and say, you know what, I took advantage of that and I grew and I tried to find the best that I could, and our marriage is stronger after a season like that.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you mentioned was that we have an opportunity right now that we may never have again to really learn more about our spouse and the characteristics and why they do what they do and what, tell us more about that.
Yeah. So if you're both teleworking or if you're both at home a lot more, chances are you might be seeing some different sides of your spouse that you haven't seen before, or at least not very much, or at least to this extent. So I'll give you a personal example. So Steve and I are both teleworking at home. Now, this is a big change for us, and I suspect a lot of couples are kind of in that boat. So I might normally telework maybe 3 days a week, but Steve never does. And he's actually not a huge fan of telework. He's an extrovert, so he likes being around people and bumping ideas off of people, and he enjoys that atmosphere. I do not. I am an introvert, so I love telework. But at the same time, he brought home his entire office setup. Now, I've seen his office, but it's different when it's in your home and you're seeing the work, right? So like I see his massive monitors and his laptop and his calendar, and I'm getting such a better feel for just how he works and what his natural rhythms are. I walked over one day a few weeks ago, and he was working on something with some kind of Quito, Ecuador airport project. And I got to see like all of his spreadsheets and graphic design and all of his stuff. And it just gave me such a better appreciation for the type of work that he does. Now, I've always appreciated it and respected it, but for me, there was something really helpful about seeing it visually and seeing how he kind of works on that during the day and what all he's doing during the day. So I'm seeing a very different side of his work and seeing how to just appreciate that and respect that in a different way, more than I was before. I'll also give you an example. It's helped me appreciate just our different schedules and how we're wired differently as people. Yeah. I'm a morning person. My husband is not. And it used to really be hurtful to me because my schedule is such that I'm ready to have dinner at like 6:30. My body's hungry. I've done a workout. I had lunch at noon. I'm ready to eat. And for a very long time, I just took it as this personal offense that Steve was not able to get home by 6 or 6:30 and was ready to have dinner with me. And we had a lot of strife over that over the years because I just felt very neglected and disrespected. Believe it or not, this telework situation has really helped me become more at peace and more understanding about that it's not personal. And he tries his best, he really does, to get home by 6 or 6:30. But because he's not a huge morning person, and because of traffic and different logistics things at his office, he's usually getting to the office and starting about 9. So he's not ready for breakfast until 9 or 10. He doesn't have lunch till 1 or 2. So we're literally ping-ponging in the kitchen. We're in there at totally different times. And then he's not ready to eat by 6 or 6:30 because he had a late lunch. So it's just really interesting how you can see these different rhythms of your spouse and just have a lot more insight into why they're wired the way they are and different things. So those are some personal examples for me. And I hope our other couples watching this can take away like, how, what am I seeing differently in my spouse now? How can I grow closer to them? How can I have a better understanding for them, for how they're wired, for how they work, for what works for them or doesn't work for them? Because you're in close quarters, you're seeing each other maybe in different roles than you normally would. So,
it reminds me, because God made us all different. We see that in Romans 12, where we have all these different gifts and passions and excitements, and you touch upon that.
mm-hmm.
Some of us are morning, some evening. And it can almost remind us, it sounds like, that when we get, closer geographically, we can get closer emotionally because we start to understand
Mm-hmm.
that's how they tick. That's why they do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate on my end seeing what Amy does. She brought all of her stuff home. When they found out that the high schools were going to be closed indefinitely, they were like, okay, we let you in for 15 minutes a week ago, but now you have to come in. You have 15 minutes to get everything you need. So she took this big suitcase with her, right? It was so funny. She brought it all back. And then I'm thinking, what's coming back? She set up half of the whole table that is really cool. She has all of her like junior, senior, freshman stuff, the binders there, the computer. And I love it because I can just kind of swing in there. And again, like you, learn that we have different rhythms of morning, evening, eating. But the cool thing is I can see maybe some of the joy she gets, and I can hear some of the stress. And then, once this is all over, it's happening now. Once it's all over, I can say, okay, she's getting home at 6:30 or 7. I've got a much better idea of her mindset and what she goes through. And I can have a little bit more empathy, right? Because I actually drive about an hour home each night. I can kind of defrag my mind. But she has maybe a 10 or 15-minute drive. And so all those kind of things we can start being cognizant of, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and say, how can I understand it? And it helps me to love them better, the unique way that God made them and the jobs that God, put in front of us as well. Also, there's, an idea that, even though this isn't going to last forever, there's some important things that we can cherish right now, besides just learning our spouse. There's some activities that we can do together. And one of the things that Amy and I do is we make sure that we kind of pause 11:45 or noon, and we're like, hey, we're going to have lunch together. And we make sure that, we talk a lot throughout the day, but over lunch, we're like, we need a brain like defrag as well. And I know I keep using that, but it's really the best term right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll like something on Netflix and we'll say, hey, we're just going to watch 20 minutes of it. And we do, we're sitting in the chairs and there's no guilt there because you just need to let your mind relax. And then, we pray beforehand, watch it, we're done, and we clean up together and we go. And I thought, what a blessing. We won't get that probably in a few months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you and Steve do, or what some things other couples might think of doing, like, maybe walks or what are other things like that.
Yeah. So keep it in mind, some of the boundaries we talked about last week. You're absolutely right. There's a great opportunity here for that closeness and just some extra communication during the day. Having lunch together, checking in on a break. Steve and I have taken walks in our neighborhood. We've lived in this neighborhood for several years, and we have never taken a walk because he's here when he gets home from work. He doesn't have to drive 30 or 45 minutes or an hour, depending on traffic, home. So the sun's still out. It's late afternoon. We've gone and taken walks, right? And I think you mentioned you and Amy have enjoyed doing that too. So checking in on breaks when your spouse isn't kind of in their space, in their zone, having a defined lunchtime together. Absolutely. That's a great way to check in. Watching, a 30-minute TV sitcom.
I need to pause you on that because another thing that's okay to let happen is like I'm a more morning person, a little bit earlier. She'll get up a little later. Like sometimes I'm ready to take a walk or jog before her. And so like this morning, for instance, we passed, she said, okay, hey, hon, I'm going. And she's coming a little later. So like I passed her and wave and this kind of stuff. And obviously we're very social. We love each other and we do those things together, but there should be no guilt. It's okay. Because sometimes
absolutely
you need to let yourself have that, like we talked last week, that private
exactly
back together, and so it sounds like a balance is needed with all of this.
Yep, you have to marry the two. See what I did there?
That's why you're a doctor.
Right, not a comedian.
Yeah. Okay, so to kind of wrap this up for the last few minutes here, really was neat looking over the list you had. Yeah, you and Steve had talked about this and stuff. Mm-hmm. Some really cool ideas we can do date-wise, even though like we're on phase 1 and we can maybe go here, but we probably do drive-through. What are some date ideas that you might have?
Yeah. Okay. So quarantine date ideas, and these are out there on the internet, but I'll share with you a few of my favorites. And of course, these are great, not just in quarantine, but if you need to be low budget, if you don't have a lot of time, there's lots of other situations besides COVID quarantine craziness where these could be helpful. Okay. You just want to be creative or do something different. You're tired of your standard. So number one is you can take a drive together and listen to music. This is kind of the kicker. Listen to music from some special era of your teenager life, your childhood, high school or college years. Just a time to be nostalgic. Share some of your favorite nostalgic music with your spouse. Imagine the conversation that can lead to. If they listen to this same music, or you can learn about them and the music they enjoyed. What were their favorite songs? Oh, I remember slow dancing, middle school dancing to this song, that my first boyfriend when I was 15 or whatever, just fun stories and just talking about some of those memories. Music does that. So listening to favorite music from a bygone era, that's a really fun one. Themed dinner and a movie indoors is the second favorite one that I had.
Like Godfather in Italian, right? No.
Threw that one out there as a suggestion to Steve. And then I corrected myself and I was like, no, that's probably not a great movie. And then he goes, yes, no, that's a great date night movie. Ugh. So it's to each their own. Steve would love to watch that. Me, not so much, but absolutely, if that's your thing. American Graffiti, great classic with cheeseburgers or drive-in movie.
There you go, yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Ark and Middle Eastern food, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you like Westerns, pair it with chili or chicken fried steak or something. Do something that has just a fun theme, dinner and a movie. You can also do like a YouTube class. If there's, you could even do like a cooking class and make your dinner and then have a movie. You can do a dance class. You can do a language class. You can do a household project how-to. YouTube has just about everything you could ever want. So, right now when you may not want to go out and do ballroom dancing, you may, social distance and all that stuff. You can find ballroom dancing little mini how-tos online. So if there's something you've wanted to try together or wanted to learn, do a workout together, whatever you're interested in, you can find something on YouTube to watch and learn and grow and try along with them. You can do a picnic in the backyard, candles, if it's not a fire hazard. Fun, picnic table or something on the back patio. The weather's nice. This is the few weeks out of the year, at least right now, depending on when you're watching it. If the weather's nice, enjoy that. Pack something up fun. The kids are still there. You're still available if they need you. Dreaming and planning a vacation. We can't necessarily, it's hard to make plans right now. Maybe dreaming and planning for when that's back up. Or
you get to go on a cruise and all that bacon. You just can't get back.
Absolutely. My biggest, when I work with couples though, some of my biggest things are don't talk about kids. Don't talk about work. If you really, really need to, if there's something really important, try to address it before date night starts or in the first 10 to 15 minutes. After that, I want you talking about fun stuff. I want you talking about memories. I want you talking about dreams. I want you to have conversations that help you grow closer as a couple and as people and as adults and as lovers and as friends. That's what you need for date night. So something to think about. And Pastor Tim, I also sent you, and I believe you're going to put it at a link, but Focus on the Family has a great little handout of just conversation starters. And you can find these all over the internet. I just happen to like Focus on the Family because they've got some great faith-based questions in there as well. They've got lots of other wonderful marriage resources. But if it starts to feel like date night's kind of stale or you don't really know what to talk about besides kids and work, that can be really great. Tell me about a favorite childhood memory. What's your favorite food and why? What are some things I can do to be a better spouse for you? What are some of your dreams in the next 5 years? Just some great questions to just wrestle with and enjoy getting to know each other and reconnecting.
Yeah. Boy, those sound like a lot of fun. I want to go out right now and say, hey, let's have a date for 4 hours tonight and do it the next night as well. Thank you so much, Kellye, for your time, for your wisdom. I know you have a passion. We mentioned in the video before that this is what you do at the VA hospital. You care for couples, you counsel couples, those who are struggling. And so we really appreciate your wisdom. What we're going to do for you is we're going to put that link down there to the family life. So you can kind of look those up. Also, if you want to connect with us and you're like, hey, I would love you guys to maybe tackle another topic, because I'm going to also have some other people, professionals in the mental health field. We're going to be talking about it. So just the easiest is to email us at connect@stjohnmansfield.org. That's connect@stjohnmansfield.org. And we'll get back with you and love to cover those in future episodes. So again, Kellye, Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
My pleasure.